creating and incorporating glaucoma animations as a tool for academic training and patient practice. Animations are a powerful cognition tool for conceptualizing glaucoma learning and understanding. For effective practice, learning and understanding of the disease is very vital. The complex theoretical framework of glaucoma makes teaching a challenge for trainees and communication a challenge for patients during counseling. To make glaucoma management better, we have created animations as an educative communication medium. When the doctor communicates to the patient about their disease, or when a doctor teaches a trainee, sometimes there is an element of doubt on the patient's mind as well as the trainee's mind. The doctor too might feel, have they really understood what I meant? So, for an effective communication, animation may help solve this issue by filling in the conceptual gap in the minds of the trainee and the patients. Better the communication, lesser the chance of informational ambiguity. This is an animation of the angle anatomy depicting all the 5 angle structures. So, once the animation template is showed, the metaphorical conceptual learning can be implemented by now showing them how the true angle structures look in real-time motion seen on the right-hand side of the video. Metaphorical conceptual learning may aid in training as well as counseling. This is an animation of a pupillary block mechanism causing angle closure glaucoma. It is very useful in counseling patients post angle closure attack or suspects for YAG PI. The arborization of the iris process are seen on the left, and PAS on the right hand side of the video can present at various levels of the angle extending up to the Schwalbe's line. Once the animations have been shown, now the metaphorical learning will aid in better concept grasping. The real-time video of the iris processes can be seen where the iris processes are arborized over the angle recess, and it does not block the angle nor pose any difficulty in visualizing the angle structures beneath it, whereas the peripheral anterior synechiae is more broad and dense and causes obstruction to the drainage by adhering to the angle recess. The software that we have used is an Adobe Flash version CS5. It costs around Rs 2500 per month. For setting up the animation making, let us take an example of a secondary open-angle glaucoma post ICL implantation. The AC is deep on slit lamp examination, and the gonioscopy reveals a dense 360-degree pigmentation. For drawing a complex image like an eye, we need to have a reference image. For simpler images, tools in the software itself would suffice. Once a reference image is taken, now we need to trace the image in the computer for a digital e-image. Or there is an alternative way where we can draw 2 circles and the unnecessary curves can be erased. The blue arrows are showing the curves to be erased to get a good cross-sectional structure of the eye. The simple images like a circle, oval or a square can be drawn from the toolbox. A square can be drawn choosing the same from the toolbox. The scaling of the square can be done in various axes by scaling controllers. Transformation by means of rotation can be done. In the frame 1, we place the 37-degree rotated rectangular image, and in the frame 20, we place another rotated rectangle in a different degree. Now, filling in the frames between 1 and 20 can be done manually, which is tedious, or this filling can be done automatically by the help of inbuilt settings, which is easier. So, this is how the final product is seen in motion. Now, moving on to the eye, where we create the 2D image by a method called layering. The scientific screenplay begins from layer 1, the sclera. In the layer 2, we have the cornea. In the 3, we add the conjunctival vessels. And in the 4, we have the ICL implantation. Every layer is constructed and coded with the help of different colors. The base layer is always 1, whereas the other layers 2, 3 and 4 are placed one above the other for setting up the motion image. Let us see how we can dilate the pupil. Creating the circular shape for the pupil and enlarging it in moving image is the key by using the motion tween tool as shown in the toolbox. How much the circle enlarges depends on the end point fixed for the motion. In frame 1, the pupil is constricted. In frame 80, the pupil is dilated. Initially, the pupil diameter was set at 50 pixels in frame 1 and 100 pixels in frame 80. The software will do the in-betweens. This is how it will look in the software to get the image into moving. Next step is visualizing the sequence of ICL implantation, where the ICL is implanted behind the pupil and the pupil is then made to constrict. In the ICL implantation moving image, the same trick is applied to get the image moving like in the previous animation. The image can either be zoomed or cropped without pixelating, as we have used a vector-based software for analysis. Adding the pigments had to be done by setting each pigment in motion independently for the final act. In the final act, the posterior surface of the iris interacts with the ICL, resulting in pigment dispersion and pigment getting accumulated in the angle. The pigment dispersion part was quite tedious, as every pigment had to be moved independently. Now, let us take a look at the finished product. The pupil dilates, the ICL is implanted into the eye, and the pupil now constricts. Iris interacts with the ICL, pigment dispersion takes place into the angle, and it causes secondary open-angle glaucoma. Animative metaphorical learning is the future. Thank you.